Do you have a child who always seems to focus on what's wrong, even when things are going well? So you say, that was so fun. And they say, yeah, but it was too short. Or you point out something they did well and they respond with, yeah, but I still messed up. It can feel so discouraging, can't it? Because then you worry about whether they'll ever be happy or confident or resilient or be able to handle life. And when you're feeling that, you probably help them try to see the bright side, but they reject it. So again, you feel discouraged in those moments. And I want to let you know they feel discouraged too. Because to their brains, the idea of look on the bright side can feel like pressure. It makes them feel more alone and it makes them feel like no one gets them. All you want to do is help them feel better, but now both of you are feeling worse. So I want to tell you what is going on when your child tends to focus on the negative and what you can do about it. Because it's important to know that most kids, especially those who feel things strongly, who have big emotions, they don't think negatively because they want to. There are other reasons that they tend to focus on everything going wrong. The first is that our kids who feel things strongly are wired to notice what's wrong. Here's what things are really like for them. Imagine you're in a really quiet room and someone rings a bell. Well, you are automatically going to notice that sound and be drawn to it. And that's what happens with our kids. Their brains are drawn to the thing that could be a potential problem or they know could be uncomfortable, even if they have no proof that things aren't going to go well. They are wired to notice these things. And the sound of that bell is so strong to them that they don't pay attention to the silence or the things that do feel good. So they're naturally wired this way, and it does serve a purpose for them because our kids feel discomfort very strongly. And discomfort to them is so big and so uncomfortable and so chaotic inside their bodies that they want to avoid it at all costs. So they focus on what could potentially go wrong in the future to protect themselves from this feeling of discomfort that seems too overwhelming to handle. Their brain says, if I expect the worst, then maybe I won't feel so disappointed or other types of discomfort. So they are very attuned to possible negative things that will happen in the future. Now, our kids also talk about negative things from the past too, right? They talk about how the trip was ruined or how the teacher embarrassed them that one time. In the instances that they're talking about, they did feel a huge surge of discomfort and they just want someone to understand how bad it was for them. They're not trying to drag you down or be negative. They're saying, that was really hard and I just want someone to get it. I don't want to be so alone with this feeling. So the real reason kids don't think positively isn't to be dramatic or pessimistic. It's that they do notice feelings more strongly and they're trying to protect themselves in the future or they're trying to feel less alone about what happened in the past. And this is why what we usually say doesn't work. When we say things like, don't be so negative, well, the reality is they did feel an uncomfortable feeling, and telling them not to be negative doesn't help them deal with that feeling. Or we say to them, come on, there's so much to be grateful for. But that doesn't help them with the feeling that something bad might happen and they don't know how to deal with that potential discomfort. And now, instead of safety, they feel disconnection and pressure to do something that they genuinely can't do. So, what do we do instead? It's not just that we allow them to wallow and stay stuck in that feeling. I'm going to tell you what to do instead, but I will also let you know that if you are someone who wants to help your child move through negative emotions more quickly, I have a live planning session where I help you come up with a personalized plan to do that for your child or children. There are more details in the description, but for now, let's just talk about a couple things you can do when your child focuses on negative things. First, be with them in the negative. If they say this day is the worst, instead of saying, no, it's not, why don't you notice all the good things we did today? Try saying, something about this day felt really bad. You're not agreeing with them that the day was awful. You're just respecting that some part of that day was hard for them. You're also showing them that you can handle their feelings, which teaches their brain that they can handle them too, and they will move through those feelings more quickly. Your goal in these moments is to respond with connection and confidence. The connection is where you see what they are going through, and the confidence is your belief that this feeling will pass. And not coincidentally, when you and they believe it will pass, it actually does pass faster. The second thing to think about when your child is negative is to stop future thinking. Because in order for you to be connected and confident with them in the moment, you have to believe that their current negativity is not going to ruin their future, that they're not going to be these miserable people just because they're thinking negatively now. The more positive present moments they have when they're feeling negatively, the more likely they are to handle these feelings. And that is what's going to lead to a better future. Not worrying that they may not have a good future, but creating positive present moments, showing them that you and they can handle these feelings. All of that starts with how we deal with them in the present, being connected, being confident, not worrying about how their current attitude will affect the future. And the third piece I want you to think about when it comes to children who tend to focus on the negative is that you and they can reduce the likelihood that these negative thoughts will pop into their brains to begin with. That's about teaching them skills like problem solving and flexible thinking, skills that will help them see situations in a new way. When they realize that things don't have to go the way they imagined in their mind, and they can still feel safe, they will stop seeing the threats in every situation. But you cannot teach those skills in the moment. This is not about forcing positivity. It's about teaching their nervous system that they can handle discomfort and they don't need to see it as a threat to always be on the lookout for. They begin to trust I can handle my big feelings, I can move through them, and they will pass. They're not dangerous or scary. And you are probably going to feel more calm and effective because you're no longer fighting against their negativity, which, let's be honest, takes a lot of energy. Instead, you're leading them through it and building your influence so that you can teach them to lead them through it themselves. Again, if learning to help your child move through their big emotions and big feelings is important to you, I invite you to join an upcoming live planning session with me where I will help you build your exact plan to help your children regulate themselves more quickly. These planning sessions are very small groups. I close them at a certain point, and they include my personal support so I can help you modify until a plan works for you. I run these groups frequently, so click the link in the description below to see the next date where you can join. Take care, and I'll see you soon.